Welcome to the 2016 Fuckboy Fantasy League Draft Recap. Starting off, we have Ezekiel 2517, aka AIDS, aka Pete. Pete took Ezekiel Elliott with his first round pick, which is a bold move considering the guy hasn't played a single down of professional football. It's definitely a gamble, but we all know how Pete gambles. Up next, we have Mr. Bulldop's team, aka Nick, aka Stick. That's probably a Rick and Morty reference, and I don't get it. Nick took AJ Green in the first and Mark Ingram in the second. Nick doesn't seem too pleased with his team, but was quoted after the draft saying, "As much as I don't like my team, everyone else's team pretty much sucks too." Next, we have Team Bass, aka Ariel, aka get a better team name. Ariel took Odell Beckham Jr., went wide receiver, and then picked CJ Anderson. So far, Ariel's biggest contribution to the league this year has been bringing on Anthony Ragazzino. I think that's how you say his name. Fuck. Rags was last seen in Las Vegas betting on semi-professional highlight and has yet to pay his league fees. Next, we have Team Shiva Kamini Sandakrum, aka Chris, aka Crispy, aka Loof, aka Chris Balim. Chris made a bold move in the first round by selecting Rob Gronkowski 5th. Overall, Chris drafted a pretty sound PPR team. I just highly doubt Doug Baldwin is going to have the same number of touchdowns that he had last year, considering the amount of targets he got. Next up, we have Kurt, a.k.a. Gerst, a.k.a. I limped all the way to the championship last year. While Kurt wasn't petting Will's cat, he actually drafted a pretty decent team. Kurt will be hoping that David Johnson continues to do what he did towards the tail end of last year, while Derrick Henry wins the starting job sooner than later. Another newcomer to the league, Team Sawplex City, aka Virgil, took Julio Jones with his first round pick. Virgil has 4 excellent wide receivers to anchor his squad, but I'm not a big fan of Carlos Hyde. My dick, Antonio Gates, aka Mike Seltzberg. Mike was on pace for an excellent draft, and then he took Matt Forte. Mike later needed a redo after accidentally selecting Jonathan Stewart, and then reached for Antonio Gates way too early, but made sure his team name wasn't changing. Canoe, aka Keanu, aka I'm not really sure what your real name is, decided to go with the popular 0 wide receiver strategy this year in a full-point PPR league. The Clinton administration had better hands than Canoe's wide receivers. Actually, his wide receivers are pretty good, if it was 2007. Next, we have another newcomer, Will Hayes, or Wesley Hayes. I'm not really sure. Will has a pretty well-rounded team, all things considered, but he's really hoping his 9th round flyer on Stephen Gostkowski really pays off. Next up, we have Rags, another newcomer. Rags is projected the highest point total in week 1. Rags took Devontae Freeman and Brandon Marshall with his first 2 picks. He was furious every time the draft was paused and was later quoted, "Fuck that draft, fuck this league, I'm not paying for shit," while boarding a flight to Nevada. Mike Whalen is another newcomer to the league, had the first pick of the draft and wasted no time in selecting Antonio Brown. My fellow bald brethren selected Cam Newton with his 3rd pick, hoping he has another MVP-esque season. As for my team, I think my wide receivers are pretty stacked. I hope Jeremy Langford sees the ball a lot this year, and I think I beat Pete week 1. So fuck you guys, and the next time I do one of these will be after week 1. Peace.